What's good, guys? It's your boy CS. In this video, we will do a market update on Bitcoin and basically all the charts. So it's going to be a bit of a long one today because I've not given an update in a couple of days. So, where are we? Where are we? Let's always zoom out, see where we are. As you know, my spider line chart is my favorite. Currently bouncing off the 0.786 Fibonacci level on the monthly. On the weekly, we also bounced off there, as I mentioned earlier this week. And currently, we are trying to break that 0.786 Fibonacci level and have actually retested. And this is what I think one of the guys in the Telegram chat was asking, how do you know about confirmations? Well, my confirmations are I need to see the EMA ribbons being back tested. So this is now back tested to 200. It's now back testing the red 20 EMA, and this will make a charge for this cluster. And you got to remember, these cluster areas, when we try to break them, are very, very difficult. Usually, we got a charge there, impulse move, but then we also came back down. And previous times, like here, for instance, we just couldn't cross it, and we couldn't cross it the past week or two. So these are the things that I'd be looking out for when I'm looking for confirmation. So right now, Bitcoin's doing a really good job. Of course, we want to see it kind of close above these within the next couple of days, hopefully this week. And also, if we look at the weekly, we're now retesting the weekly EMA. And if you remember one of my earlier videos, I've always said that the 20 EMA throughout the whole of the bull cycle is so pertinent because we always bounce off it. As you can see here, we always bounce off it, basically. And even in the previous cycle, the 2016, 2017, see how we always bounce off this red EMA ribbon? Always until the end, literally until the end of 2017. That's a full 2-year bull cycle. And in the previous cycle where we bounced off it. Now, the reason why I'm so bullish is if I just take a step back from, looking at the charts, right? And if we just think about Bitcoin as a whole, where we're at, we're in the first year of a bull cycle, 2024, and the halving has already occurred. What does this mean? Well, to put this, just a synopsis, right, is when Bitcoin halves, the rewards that you get for mining Bitcoin are now lessened. And so those miners, what happens usually around the halving is, is they tend to sell off, right? Because their current GPUs that they'll have, or mining equipment, shall we say, it doesn't have the same high caliber capacity to mine the Bitcoin, right? And so what they'll do is they'll sell their Bitcoin that they've made, and then they'll purchase new mining equipment, new rigs and all that kind of stuff, right? And you got to remember, those who are mining Bitcoin, they're trying to solve an equation, an algebra equation, an algorithm, right? That fits onto the blockchain. Like, let's just take it back to 101, right? So they need this equipment in order to find the solution, the puzzle to the problem, which is the mining code that fits onto the blockchain. And so those who have now sold off have now bought their equipment and they're ready to send Bitcoin. And that's why I'm very, very much bullish long term. And now I've turned and flipped my bias from bearish to bullish because of where we're at within the cycle. And these play a massive and pertinent role when thinking about, where can Bitcoin go? Let's just take this off. Let's just take, just have a naked chart, basically, right? We're basically in the last cycle. Obviously, this was COVID, but which was a Black Swan event. And we've technically had a Black Swan event if you think about how we've come down here due to the unemployment rates, the Iran and Israel war. And if we just look here, this is the accumulation phase before we go, pure parabolic. And this is the nutty phase that a lot of people can't comprehend. And so if we think about it, if we're around here, and again, I don't want you to go crazy and leverage long everything in sight, but if you're leverage longing around here now, and we're about to shoot, I don't want to change anything with the indicators or drawings, but let's say we shoot here and then break through. We're looking at, look at the parabolic move there. And look at the parabolic move where we can end up from like anywhere between obviously 100k Bitcoin this time around to, 150, some would say 200. If you're plan B, you're looking at 400k Bitcoin, which again, I don't know for sure. I could be totally wrong. I'll keep my bias aside, but definitely 150k Bitcoin is definitely on the cards, right? And so just thinking about it, without looking at the charts and just visualizing what's happened in the past and what goes on in the future, and also knowing, certain other charts. So this is a really key indicator for me, which is the MVRV Z score. And you know what? I prefer to be on my PC to show you this. I might do a separate video, but it predicts where all the Bitcoin bottoms are, as you can see in that green channel near the zero, right? And as you'll see, look where 2015 is. If I click it, it's going to ruin everything. But 2016 is the bull cycle, and it just shoots up. And if we look at 2020, apart from that COVID dip, as you can see, that goes back into that green channel where the 0 digit is, it shoots up and has its full bull cycle. And look where we're at right now. We're under a level of 2. And so every bull cycle that we've been in goes over the score of 6. And that's where we are looking at. So we're so early. And to also be a perma bear right now, if we look at the global monetary liquidity, so this is, I think of it as money printing, as injecting money into the markets. And this is globally from all central banks and, well, all financial institutions, right? As you'll see, in every bull market that we get when there is a liquidity injection, and 4-year cycle question mark is, look at 2016 and 17, and then all the way where it ends up at 18, right? That's its peak, where that was the end of the bull cycle. And if we do 2020, apart from COVID, look how it shoots up to March, April 2021. And as you remember, that was basically the biggest peak. We also had another Bitcoin all-time high in November, but look how the liquidity has jumped crazily. And look at the liquidity now, where it's going, where it's shooting up to. We've got these levels where it's going to absolutely go berserk. And so with liquidity getting pumped into the markets, I know I sound like a perma bear, but we're just at that point where it's at the intersection now where it's ultimately ready to rip. It's ready to rip. We're nearly there. We're about a month off, a month and a half off, but really this is the last bit of the accumulation range. And as far as I can see, Bitcoin is ready to rip. Now, if I bring back one of the most key charts, which is this one, right, that everybody loves looking at, which again, you could say this is a bullish flag, and then we're going to go like that. You can call it a descending channel, a descending wedge. It really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. This doesn't matter whatsoever, because this chart, once we do something like this, like that, and then we get above, and then we retest it, and then we go, then as I keep continually saying to you, we can send from there. We can really send from there. Once we get above it, And once we retest it, then we can really send and really go for those all-time highs. And look, it might, I keep drawing it every single time in my previous videos, but it really does link into the presidential elections around November and December when we usually do get takeoff. So everything does corroborate with one another. Now, if I'm looking at the wave patterns, on the 3-day, we're now getting a clip here. So as you can see, it's now curling upwards, and that would take us into November, right? If I go onto the 1-dayer, we already had that divergence where I said it already had flashed. And to be fair, it's already making its move here. So on the wave pattern, we're already going up. And like I said, this is a really key indicator. It flashed before, and they rarely do flash these on the daily, especially when you're in a kind of bullish scenario. And so this could take us right to the upper echelon, this bar right here, this resistance zone. So as far as I'm concerned, everything looks good with Bitcoin. There is this which Alex mentioned, and I've been looking at as well, which is this rising wedge. So what could happen is we could see something like this, where it could go like that and then come back down. We could go up again, or we could break it and then we'd come back down. And I think the measurement would actually send us to 58.7K to retest, right? That is a scenario, a bearish scenario on the local time frame anyway, that could play out. And it is something that I'm very much aware of. As far as the RSI on the 1 hour, from what I remember, yeah, it got overcooked here. When it gets overcooked, this is really a good sign, because anything down here usually dips. Again, it got overcooked above 70, comes back down, and then we're off again to the races. And that's the type of stuff that I really enjoy looking at. And the reason being is they're perfect buy zones. And if we get the 4 hour up here, that's going to send us as well. There is one thing as well that I saw on the weekly, which, yep, I don't know if I can. I'm going to flip this so you can see. It's a bit more difficult to see in the weekly, but there is a divergence here where ultimately, if Bitcoin can break through here, that will mean the end of this bearish divergence. That's a full confirmation that the divergence has finished out. And the way that Bitcoin is going right now, ultimately, it looks safe to say that this will be retesting it for sure. Whether it actually breaks through this week, I'm not entirely sure. Next week, potentially. Or it could get a bounce, which is another thing that I didn't really draw. But as you can imagine, if it rejects it, it'll just come back down, and we're still in that bearish trend. So we may get a few more wicks to the downside, and that would follow that rising wedge pattern which we just had here. So let me put that back. Okay, cool. Now, I've not really done a lot of analysis on a few of the other coins. I'll just do the USDT because obviously my one's a lot of horizontal resistance, but we've now got a rejection on the daily. Well, looks like it again. On the weekly, looks like we're coming down. We never, in fact, hit those two spots, so I'm still going to keep them there, but just very interesting to know that we never actually hit those. So as we know, it's inversely correlated to Bitcoin. First stop would be the 5.31%. Well, actually, let me check the EMA ribbons. So we're currently testing resistance here. Remember, this is inversely correlated, hence why I'm saying resistance. And then we've got this massive cluster here. This is the cluster we need to break out of. Once we get out of this, then we can see where we get to. We'll need to break this diagonal support line, which is a local one. And then remember, historically, we've got this massive support line. This one in yellow here. So ideally, Bitcoin will need to eventually break that. And that's where we want to see the levels, as I've put here, crush level to get out at 2.39%, start DCAing out earlier. Remember the game plan. This is a long way ahead of us, but when Euphoria takes its charge and everyone's getting excited and yeah, I'm going to be a multi-millionaire. I hope you are. I hope you really do. And I hope, the people in the group have benefited you and you all learn something new from one another. But realistically, you need to remember when to DCA out. Don't get too greedy. You need to take profits. Don't make money if you don't take profits at the end of the day. Okay, Brett. So on the weekly, as you remember, I put it in the last video, we retested this outer zone again. It's a bit weird for us not to come back and retest this, right? And so if you still got buy limits, keep them there on the second DCA order. And then the third DCA, if this was to ever happen, which looks very, very difficult now, but that DCA would be here, like 0.052. Again, I don't think we're going there now. You can keep it in as an order if you want. But for this to clip up here, it usually means we're going much higher. And so really the next stop is the 0.0844. And we've been having a lot of trouble trying to break this. So as you can see, 6th and 7th of August, we tried it, got rejected. And I think, again, who was it? Alex took a short with me around here. We actually got the long and we got the short. Came down here, told everyone, get your DCAs in here. Everyone got into this, Mac, myself, and a few others. That was an easy DCA. Still in Brett, obviously, no brainer that this is just going to do numbers. And so we could technically say that's the second time. And then is this the third time? Usually third time lucky or fourth time lucky. So we could get another rejection, come down, then a fourth time. And then once we break out of here, I don't actually see us ever seeing 0.1 ever again, or for a very long time, maybe in the bear market, but nah, I just don't see us coming back here ever again, to be honest. Once we break out here, that's it, game's up. We're going so much higher. Like the pattern's already there for us. So that's what I see with Brett. Floki, and I know a lot of people fade Floki, but when Floki starts moving, it usually is a sign that other alts are going to start moving. I remember Floki on the previous 2 occasions, once the moves happen, right? When Floki moves, everything else moves in about a couple of days. Everything else lags. When Floki moves, it usually is a good sign that the rest of the memes and the alts are actually going to move too. Because Floki's being battered and it now is making a huge charge. Oh, I love Wojak, man. When Wojak moves, oh my God, look at the support level here. This is a great long to take anywhere around here and keeping your liquidation levels below the 378. My God, this will do absolute numbers. Whoever's brave enough to do a Wojak long, I salute you. Because, yeah, that is just unbelievable. Casper finding daily support now at the 0.161 region, which is fantastic. As you know, Casper is the most parabolic coin of all coins. There's nothing more parabolic than Casper. Casper's just incredible. Look at the strength of this coin, man. It's just incredible. From what I see here, we're just going so much higher. So another great entry. Resistance dog, very, very disappointing. Got a rejection off the daily 20 EMA. Oh, that was today. Okay, interesting. Oh, that was literally, wow, in the space of the past hour or so. So look, resistance dog can move, but, all this shakeout stuff, it's not really healthy for leverage trading. But if you were to leverage trade, I would say this is a great entry now, and put your liquidation levels like below 0.2. Yeah, 0.2 is the level. Ponky has broken out now finally off this local descending wedge. It actually, when I was looking at it, as you saw my longs yesterday, it got back tested here. So it got back tested on 1 hourly. It came back, tested, and then has just been ripping since. So now it's going to attack the 0.35 level. And, you know, Ponky's so cheap. If there was one parabolic meme I'd be looking at, and it's just a no-brainer, it'd be Ponky. Ponky's got so many multiples in it. A 10x here would take it to 1 billion market cap. And you got to remember the amount of followers it has on so many different socials. It's so big on TikTok. It's so big on Instagram. And the artwork and the kind of the correlation to Brett in a way makes it a no-brainer meme coin to get into. What else have we got? We've got Turbo. Turbo's just been sat here, and I know Spark's probably licking his lips, but this also is somewhere at like a 150, 200 million market cap. This can go to 2 billion just because of the community alone. Like Turbo on ETH is... And look, it really hasn't even got that battered. Like the lows that I got didn't really go anywhere. Now it's in this little mid-range bit where it's not really doing too much. It's just chilling around here. And I'll be honest with you, as soon as Turbo breaks out of this purple zone here at 0.42, it's going to go and attack the 0.4... I keep saying 0.0, but, you know, the 46101 level, basically. That's where it's going to go and attack. It's going to attack those kind of levels. And remember, out of every coin, as much as Brett is the most parabolic and Ponky is also very, very parabolic, Turbo in a day can do crazy fucking numbers like 34%, 18%, 51%, 19%, 32%. Do not get it twisted what this coin can do. 64%, 48%, 21%, 64%, 90%. Bro, this is daily candles. These are daily candles that Turbo does. Like, it's doing nothing right at the moment, right? But it could do one of these crazy moves, and you're just gonna... If you're not in, you're going to miss it type of thing. So these are all the great coins that you can leverage trade with. And if you want to trade, you know, something a bit more safer, well, Solana needs to break now back into this yellow zone here, where ideally we need a weekly close inside this 145,151 level. If we do, fantastic. Then we can look for retests and then, you know, send Solana as well. But as far as making super amounts of money this bull cycle, really, I'd be looking at these meme coins, and don't fade them all like Floki, Wojak, and Turbo. I know a lot of us just focus on Brett and Ponky and even Casper, even though it's not a meme coin. But don't fade the other ones because they move at lightning paces as well, right? Okay, correlation-wise, the S&P, man, like... S&P is literally at all-time highs. It literally is at all-time highs. So we're literally a day away from breaking all-time highs, which is definitely on the cards. Definitely on the cards. Could be today, could be tomorrow, but it's definitely on the cards. Inversely, the Japanese equivalent, they've now broken their weekly 20 EMA, and guess what? Bitcoin is also at the same level. It's also now broken the turquoise and orange EMA. Where is Bitcoin? Well, it lags behind. And this is where I'm at with my thinking, which is, if that's what the Nikkei is doing, then what do you think Bitcoin's going to do? It correlates directly with these stock markets, these indices. It correlates bar for bar, although there is a lag of maybe a couple of days or a week or two. But eventually it all comes into fruition. And that's where I'm at and why I'm so bullish on everything. Dominance, truthfully, we're at such a key level at this 57.3% level that I couldn't give a rat's arse if this is going higher on the dominance, because altcoins are still going to move. And that's what people aren't really talking about. They're like, oh yeah, when is alt season? When is it alt season? Alt season usually happens around here at 70%. Look, it happened there. And then it came down. And then look, we went to 39. Bro, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. If you're in alts when Bitcoin is moving, and just because Bitcoin dominates, that doesn't negate the fact that altcoins are still making 5% moves or 6% moves on a day. In alt season, yes, fantastic. You're making 30% moves on a single day, right? But if you're in earlier into the right meme coins or the right altcoins, they're going to move alongside Bitcoin anyway. So when is alt season? When is alt season? It doesn't. If you're ahead of schedule before the alt season, right? You're already making gains. Like where I'm thinking now with Brett, with Floki, with Wojak, with Rido, with Ponky, with Turbo. Like, these coins are gonna go absolutely berserk once we get into those zones. As for this, look, we'll revisit this, the total market cap, because I've got my boxes ready of where we're going to be ending up, but that's not a video for today. One of the things I was actually going to look at was the USDC. So everybody looks at the Tether chart, but nobody's really looked at the USDC, so the USD coin, right? And I've actually found this chart pattern quite interesting, where it's a descending wedge. And so I've already put my arrow there. Can you see that? I've already measured these things, where I'm thinking to myself, well, if this comes down, maybe this comes down, from around September, it bounces here, and then we get like a full-blown, I might need to extend this now. Oops. Let's put it there, right. Maybe it comes down here and then bounces and then comes back down here. And then look, that would take us to like August, September, October, November. End of 2025, right? So the USDC might have a pivotal role here in where we might end up. Albeit, maybe that can't be right, because that's minus 0.47%. But realistically, if it's come down here to like 0.11%, that could be on the cards. I don't know how this chart really plays out. This is the first time I'm just messing around with it compared to the Tether dominance. But yeah, if anybody has any inclination on what actually occurs on this chart, then yeah, fill us in on the VIP chat. But for now, guys, that's all I've got for you. I'm just wondering if there's any other charts. No, these are the main charts that we're looking at and what we want to get into. So yeah, with that, I will catch you